7 days. He was quite tired, so God said, let there be a day just for picnics with wine and bread. He gathered up some people he had made, created blankets and laid back in the shade. The people sipped their wine, and what with God there, they asked him questions like, do you have to eat or get your hair cut in heaven? And if your eye got poked out in this life, would it be waiting up in heaven with your wife? God shuffled his feet and glanced around at them. The people cleared their throats and stared right back at him. So he said, once there was a boy who woke up with blue hair. To him it was a joy until he ran
Waking up with blue hair today, that's a common thing, isn't it?
He thought of how his friends would come to see. Would they laugh or had he got some strange disease?
Not me.
God shuffled his feet and glanced around at them.
Well, thumbs up.
People cleared their throats and stared right back at him. People sat waiting hard on their blankets in the garden, but God said nothing. So someone asked him, beg your pardon. Not quite clear, but what you just spoke, was that a parable or a...
What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone's having a good time, enjoying your Thursday. It's rainy and it's cold here. It's not cold, it's probably a strong word, but when it's all wet and nasty outside and it's fairly decent rain, it's 45 degrees, it don't feel like springtime now, does it? But how's it going in your area? There was a few people in live just a minute ago talking about how cold it was, how much snow they got, how much snow they didn't get. And then there's old Matt over here making videos thinking he's a badass with a skid steer, man. What the hell? You look like a green pea rookie out there, man. Do I need to come up there and teach you how to run a skid steer? I mean, shit, man. Sell that dump trailer while you can, make some money, put it in a retirement fund, and go work at Walmart, man, as a checkout bag boy. Oh, man. Can't help it, Matt. Can't help it. No, man, it looked good. I haven't seen the video yet, but I saw it on the little clips on the old IG. What's up, Andrew? Who else we got in here? We got Mark from Trucking Down Under. We got Dirty's Daybot in here. How about that one? TJ, what's going on, man? We got Float, my little Pookie Float. He's in the house, and there's Rich, and I'm wondering if Rich and the Daybot are the same people. Yes, sir. Who else is roaming around in here? I don't know how many people we got, but as y'all can see from the title, man, there's something fishy around here, something really fishy. And I wanted to bring it to y'all's attention. How do I start this? There's just some people in this world, man, that that need some help. They go around, people claim them, that they aren't real, always begging for something, always going behind people's backs, doing all the wrong things, and kind of in all the wrong places. And they get videos made about them, they like to gaslight certain people, and I've just kind of had enough of it. I think it sucks. I think these people are crazy, and hopefully they go away soon. But it's not just it's not just any one person, but y'all know what I'm talking about. We need to bring back a community in here. We really do. We need to just move on from certain people and stay away, and and let's just hope that I don't block Rich tonight. But this channel is I'd wanted to do something with it for a while. Chris and I, we had our little talk show for a while, and I really missed it. Spent some time trying to get him to. I talk to him every now and again. I need to call Chris because I haven't talked to him in a couple of months probably, but seeing if he would come back in, and it just seemed like he's kind of off doing his thing and kind of steers clear of YouTube these days, I do believe. But so I decided I'd come back on my own and just start to move on in the direction that I was headed, in interviewing people and making this, I guess, more of a podcast format thing. Hopefully it goes out long beyond lawn care and landscape, even though we can have plenty of those people too. That's all fine with me, and pressure washing and stuff. But and interviewing, I've got guest number one. I don't know that he's ever smelt like a fish, because he just doesn't know how to catch any. And tonight we're going to be talking to old Float Dizzle. What's up, Float?
Oh, what's up, brother? You had to go there, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Cruz, what's up, man?
Golly. Dang it, Dirty. Dang it. What's up, brother, man? I appreciate you. First of all, man, I appreciate you having me up on your show, brother. I'm honored. And I'm a little nervous because I'm with Dirty right here. So, y'all help me out in the chat if you would. But I appreciate you, brother.
It could get dark. It could get black and white real fast. We
oh,
never know.
gosh.
And and thank you for being the first, man. On 2.0, I guess it is.
You're welcome, brother. You're welcome, man.
We've spoken a lot over several years now. I mean, I walked into this world in I think it was about this time in 2019, and you and I met sometime after that, but we were familiar with each other long before we even spoke.
Right.
But before YouTube's World War I broke out.
Yeah, just before that.
Oh man, that's crazy times. But yeah, man. Again, pleasure having you up here. We're gonna get to know Float. Everybody thinks they know Float, but do you know Float?
That's Lord.
Today. One thing we do know is he can't fish. He's a guppy grabber. He can find them little ones, but
Good night, everybody.
Peace. We're done.
Have a good one.
But anyway, we know he likes to fish. We know he likes to cut up. We know he likes to go on lives. We know about his business ventures, at least on the surface. But we're going to go a little bit deeper than that. If you have a question, I'm watching the comments over here. I got them right in front of me, and I got them right here too. Trying to keep an eye on all of them. If you have a question for Float, and this is real stuff, man, we'll laugh at the funny shit you may ask, but if you have something serious, that you'd like to add to this, go ahead, and we'll see how this goes. This is going to probably be about an hour long, maybe a little bit longer. You never know. What Andrew say? Can Dirty fish? I can't fish, dude. I can't. here's the actually, it's that's not exactly true. If you put me in fresh water, I'll be lucky to catch a guppy. If you put me in salt water, I'll catch something because if the fish aren't biting, I can guarantee I'll go find the oysters, the scallops, or the shrimp, and and come home with something. It's not that hard in salt water. But out at deep sea fishing, I've often been called the good luck charm because I don't know what it is. I can go out there and I can bust them big time. And I haven't been in a long time, which that kind of stinks too. But
Yeah.
I just I lost the energy to want it's. People think you just step on a boat. And I guess if you rent a charter, it is that easy. You just step on the boat, they hand you your reels and have everything for you. But when you're going out with friends that have these big, massive, offshore boats and stuff, you don't just step on the boat. You earn your keep. You're going to work on that boat the whole time, man. You're moving rigs around. You might be piloting the boat for a while. You might be doing a bunch of different stuff. It's work, or somebody gets on a big fish. You got to be ready to sit down in the chair yourself and help reel it in. Gaff, it's work, man. I have hardcore respect for those guys that go out there and do that every day.
You ain't kidding. I went deep sea fishing one time, and it was the hardest fishing I've ever done in my life. We hit, let's say, I hooked onto an amberjack, and brother, that thing fought me forever. We finally got it in, and it was like half an inch too short.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, those things, they're nothing but muscle, man. That's all they are. They're big balls of muscle ready to take you on. I love going out there, though. I've dove in the water with whales. I've jumped in the water with sharks. It's cool because it's crystal clear. You can see forever in that water. And so I don't have any fear because I can see everything that's going on.
Right.
We'll get up there in what's called, for those of you who aren't familiar, if you've ever seen the big offshore boats, it's like in the center section where all the console stuff is, it goes way up, and then you have the antennas sticking off. It's called the tuna tower. And going up top there, and we get way up there at the top, and just launch off into the water, man. Out there, all you can see is water. It's a fun time to be out there. Sometimes we get a little too drunk too, but
I love when the dolphins get beside the boat. Swimming up and down. That's awesome.
Yeah, they know you might have something you're going to throw back, man. They're smart. But Bowman wants to know why you like Cranky better than me.
She's prettier than you, just to be honest.
Facts. Great white shark, Andrew. I don't know that I've done anything with a great white shark. Have they been around? Possibly. I mean, I've seen some big boys out there, but it's not like they're within 20 feet of me. But when you dive into that water, it's literally, you can't tell you're even in water. Everything just it's like looking out into the world as we see it. If you walked out your front door with a blue tint, you can see everything for a very good distance. So you can see them out there, but I ain't swam with them. I'm out.
See no land.
Bowman says bye.
Yeah. You see no land. To me, that was like the weirdest thing, being out there looking around and you don't see any land. You're so far out.
Yeah. Your senses are thrown off by that too. It's a really weird feeling out there at first, but then you get really comfortable with the fact that, wow, nothing out here can mess with me, really.
Right.
It's like the old man in the sea, man. You just go out there in the boat, chill out, and do your thing.
Absolutely.
But let's go deep. Let's start with let's start with year one that you remember really well. I mean, where were you born, Float? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Birmingham, Alabama. I grew up.
So you ain't been far.
No, I ain't been far. Born in Birmingham, Alabama. Grew up in a little town called Wylam, and now that town, it's not safe to go back in. But back when I grew up in that town, brother, it was, you could leave the doors open, unlocked, you know what I mean? And everybody knew you.
Right.
And if you got in trouble, everybody whooped you and then sent you home, to your mom, and then you got whooped again.
Yep.
But yeah, man. So yeah, I moved out of Birmingham one time, brother. I moved out to Inglewood, Florida, and I probably stayed 3 months, and I couldn't take it no more. All that flat land, brother, I just couldn't take it.
Is that in the Panhandle, or where is that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was like it was 30, not even 30 minutes. I was like 15 minutes from the beach, the water. It was beautiful, but just the flat land, man. I just couldn't take it anymore.
You don't like flat land, though.
I don't like. Well, I mean, it's not only that too. I mean, when when you're walking down the street and you're used to seeing dogs walking down the street, but you got alligators walking down the street.
Yes, you do.
That's a different thing, bro.
we, we see that. It's funny, man. There's a bunch of restaurants here on the waterfront, but there's one called Buzz's Roost. It's kind of it's where all the bands play and all that stuff. It's a sports pub. They've got their own brewery and everything there, and it's the one place that I don't know why, but all the alligators gather right there. It's brackish water, which they typically aren't in, but they hang out right there. And I guess maybe because everybody gets drunk and feeds them.
Right? Here, hold my beer.
I've often said they should rename that place Gators or something, which oddly enough, there was a bar that lasted about 6 months, about a half a block away. They did name Gators, but evidently those people weren't running it right. It just closed and is opening back up as something else.
Right.
Scratching with D, man. What's up, man?
What's up, D man?
Yeah, floats in my building.
I'm in the building with Dirty, y'all.
That was another title I thought about, but I thought if I say anything with building, boy, that'll give it away.
In the building.
In the building. I'll skip right on over that one. Well, I know, I guess I'm gonna be honest. Some of these questions, if you don't cut and divorce is in my building. I was in his building a minute ago.
Yeah, we were
all in his building a minute ago. If I'm just because I'm trying to keep it real and just try to figure people out and get to know them even better. If something seems uncomfortable, I'm sorry, just asking questions. But
before
if anybody's wondering, what's that?
If anybody's wondering, I have no idea what he's about to ask me, so that's why I'm nervous. So go ahead, my bad, brother.
I don't either. That's why I'm giving you all warning. But did you have a good childhood? I mean, is it fun? Do you have a lot of friends in the neighborhood, or typical 70s, 80s style stuff, or
I did, brother. We had I had a great childhood, man. We didn't have a whole lot of money, but I didn't know it because
Right.
my dad wasn't in my life. He chose not to be for whatever reason, and so me and my brother was raised without a dad. Mom did it all. She was mom and dad. So she was, when it was time to be comfort, she comfort. When it was time to whoop A, she whooped A. She took care of business. But, Christmas time, I can remember our Christmas time, man, waking up in the morning and it just be full of gifts. You know what I mean? So growing up, I did not realize that we were poor, but
Right.
she did a great job, man. But yeah, I had a great childhood. A lot of friends. The neighborhood, man, where we were at, it was like a main street, down at the beach or something. Everybody hung out on 13th Avenue.
Right.
So it was really cool.
Same rule of thumb: when the street light comes on, get your ass to the house.
Absolutely. And if you wasn't there, you paid the price. I remember Mom, she come got me one time. I was probably about 5 minutes late. And I looked up and I seen her coming, and I was like, "Oh God!" I probably, at this time I was probably 9, 10 years old, and she made me. What was bad was she made me get my own switch, So
Ooh.
I tried to get a little bitty one, and that didn't work. Man, she whooped me from like 2 blocks all the way home.
Oh man, that's not good.
No, it wasn't good at all.
You must have learned some lessons pretty early then.
I did, man. I learned some lessons. Real early. So,
You talked a lot about your mom and your live stream. Was that last night or the night before? A couple of nights ago.
Yeah.
Seemed like a really, really nice woman. What did she do for a living, if you don't mind me asking? What was her career choice?
She actually worked at it was called Osler's Sandwich Company, and she drove what they call a roach coach. I don't know if you're
Yeah.
familiar with that.
Yeah.
You know, where she would go out to these
Sandwich truck.
Yeah, sandwich truck. She would go out to the construction side. One side of the truck had cold food, the other side had hot food. So you could get cold sandwiches and drinks, or you could get a barbecue sandwich, you know, that was hot, or hamburger, whatever. And she would also fill vending machines. She would go to different banks and the big, you know, buildings down in Birmingham, and she would fill the machines, you know, and fill them up with sandwiches and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I went to work with her a few times, and you know, it was cool to see how it worked out.
Nice. That's cool. And obviously you said that she's no longer with us.
Right. Yes, she passed in I think it was '08.
Okay.
Yeah, it was right in '08 when she passed.
So what
She
was
was
go
she
ahead.
was like, I mean, she was my world, man. I'm not gonna lie. She was, like I say, she was mom and dad, and I I always said if I ever lost my mom, I'd probably lose it. But you know, after mom passed, I had to be the strong one in the
Right.
family, you know, because my
Right.
brother lost it, man. You know, he lost it. So, but I waited till after everything was over, and then at the house, man, that's when I lost it. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
Still, I
kids didn't
mean,
even see it.
08, you were fairly young, all things considered, you know?
Yeah, yeah, man. And she lived not too far. She's the one that actually that brought me to where I'm at now in this neighborhood because I was actually homeless at the time. Uh,
Wow.
uh, yeah, and how that happened, man, is I mean, I guess I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of things here or not,
No,
but
go ahead.
uh, you know, when I got into my teens, like I say around 17 or 18 is where things turned for the worse for me in my life. You know, meeting different people and kind of hanging out
It's
with
the age where a lot of people take some different turns.
right. So, you know, alcohol come into play, marijuana come into play, that kind of stuff, you know, and so I just wasn't living a good life, you know. I was how you put I was a gangster wannabe, I guess you could say. You know what I mean? Just run the streets, bro. And
Right.
I remember how I ended up homeless. And some of these stories, guys, you know, I don't normally share. You know, I don't normally share with anybody, but I feel like tonight's a good time. It's a better time than any to kind of share some of these. Um, but me and a buddy of mine were roommates, and we were sitting on the couch watching TV or whatever, and heard somebody pull up out front. Didn't think nothing of it, man. The next thing I know, bro, there's they're just blowing the house to pieces. They shooting up the house. I hit the
Wow.
floor. You know, I'm hit the floor underneath the couch, and I could just hear bullets flying by me, and they destroyed the house. And so I ended up
Ooh.
living in my truck for I don't know. I was probably living in my truck for about a month or so. And what I would do is just find a dirt road where I could park and, you know, put stuff up on the windows and cover the windows up and sleep, or I'd park it into a neighbor's driveway. I mean, not a neighbor's, but a friend's driveway, and you know, use their bathroom and that kind of thing. So yeah, man. So and Mama found out about it. You know, she called me. It's like, son, you need to come up here and live with me. I'm like, nah, Ma, I can't do that. You know, I can't come up here and live with you. I'm a big boy now. You know,
Right.
can't do
Right.
that. So after about another week of that, man, of living in my truck, when she asked me again, I didn't hesitate, bro. I moved down here, and you know, that's when things started changing for the better in my life. So I don't know if
So,
you had
well,
any.
were you were you a church person before this growing up, or is that something that came into your life later?
It came into my life. See, my family didn't go to church, and I'll get into more of that too. But y'all gonna trip out. I'm telling you, y'all gonna trip out on some of these stories, but it's the truth. And I'd like to know who else watching. But anyway, yeah, man, that you know, when I was growing up, people would tell me, you know, if you do bad, God's gonna kill you. You know, God's out to get you. God's, you know, he don't put up with that. So if somebody started talking about God or Jesus, I would move on. I
Right.
wouldn't want to hear it. You know what I mean?
The fear factor is what they were running on.
Exactly, the fear factor, and that pushed me further away than it did showing the love and bringing me in. How I come to know, or when I moved to this area here, mom lived in some apartments, so I moved into apartments with her. She had like a 3-bedroom apartment here, and it has a laundry room outside. You can put a place where you can put your own wash and dry, but it also has a laundromat. So I
Right.
was out at the laundromat. Walk in there, man. And the only dude in there is a guy at the other end, and he's got tank top on. He's got tattoos all over him, man. Just looks like this mean biker dude, right?
The oh shit minute.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And I didn't have no beard or anything back then. I might have had a little goatee or something like that. But he started beatboxing down at the end. I was like, oh snap. So I started beatboxing because I was in a rap group and stuff, man, and I was a beatboxer. So I started beatboxing, and man, it was like love at first sight, bro. We become best friends that night, right? So he was like, man, come over to the house, man, and I'll have some other friends over. We can record. It was back when you had the little cassette thing that you push record on.
Yeah, the two fingers.
Exactly, and record yourself. So I go over there, man. We're all sitting around the table and recording stuff. And he's like, hey, bro. He said, I got keys to the church. We can go up there and get on the microphones. And, I was like, what? Church? I was like, no, bro. I said, no, we can't go to no church, man, and do that. What are you talking about? He said, no, dude, I'm like a youth pastor, It's all right. So I was like, okay, cool. So we go up there, we get on the microphone, do all that, man, have a good time. And then when it's over, man, they all kind of gather around me and they start telling me how Jesus loves me and what he done for me, as far as dying on the cross and everything that he took for me, for my sins. And I'm like, what? Because when I was younger, they told me he was out to kill me. Now you talking about he loves me. So that's when I actually heard the love of Christ, man, and how God loves you. And it planted a seed that I did pray that night, but it was kind of like a pressure pray. You know what I mean? I felt pressured to pray.
Right.
So, but it planted a seed in my heart, bro. And then I was kind of in and out of church for the longest, man. And then when I finally decided, man, I think I really need to, and really what changed my life really to get back into church and learn more about Christ is when my oldest boy was born, man. And that did it right there.
Funny how children change your perspective on life.
Absolutely,
and it does it
bro.
in a split second.
Yes, sir.
It's nothing
Yes,
that you really even think about during the pregnancy, while she's carrying it. It may filter in, it may ponder a question, but you're not ready for what's about to happen until it happens. And at that moment, life is different. And your reason is different.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, it was. All I wanted to do was, live and live right and take care of my children. Now, I'm not going to say it's easy, and I won't tell anybody that living a Christian life or living for God is easy, because it's not. I get made fun of because of it. Even here on YouTube, man, people will make fun of me about it, or and we'll probably get into that too, I guess. But it's not an easy thing, but man, for me, it's the best thing for me. And I don't ever force Jesus or on anybody or force them to listen to what I say, about Jesus, because I know everybody's not down with it. But man, I can't hide him either. You know what I mean? I can't put him in a corner somewhere. And
never hide your convictions, man. Nobody, why?
Right.
I don't.
Right. Dude, he's brought me out of so much, man. The life that I used to live, man, and him bringing me out of it, just living the life of on the streets and doing drugs or alcohol, that kind of stuff. Man, there's many of stories that I can tell that I should have been dead, man. I should have been dead, it driving or, I remember one night, man, me and a buddy of mine, Michael, and a buddy of mine, Shannon, and there was this girl there. I can't remember her name, but it was Shannon's girlfriend. And we're sitting on a train trestle, right? It's at night. It's probably midnight. We're all drunk, and we're sitting on this train trestle. And I stand up. I start singing Amazing Grace. For what? Why am I singing Amazing Grace? I'm on a train trestle, drunk. And
Right.
we all they all stand up too, and we put our arms around each other, right? You know how you drunk buddies do. We put our
Oh
arms
yeah.
around each
You
other,
do the huddle.
and everybody's singing. Next thing you know, we jump. We jump into the water. You can't see the water. You can't see what's down there. We jump, and you hear, there's 3 people go in. The smart one was the girl, where she stayed up top. But I came up, and then Shannon came up, and then we're hollering for Michael, and Michael's not coming up. We're like, dude, where's Michael? So we're panicking out, Michael. And he don't come up for a long time, bro. And then finally he comes up, man, and he's gasping and spitting. When he went down, his foot got stuck in the mud, and the suction kept him down.
Oh, I've had that happen.
Yeah. So he come up, man, and that, he could have died that night.
Yeah.
We could have hit a log or whatever. So there's stories like that I know, that I believe God kept me alive and was watching over me, man, for times like today, man. Just to mention his name, and talk about his goodness. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to do it.
Well, you mentioned in the beginning of this, what led you, I guess, on your current journey was beatboxing and hip hop from a guy in a laundromat.
Yeah.
Were you, we're the same age in the early 80s, late 70s. Was that style of music already something ingrained in you, or is this where all that started to come into play?
Yeah, bro, Run DMC, the Fat Boys.
Yeah.
That's who really, like, far as the beatboxing, was the Fat Boys. And yeah. So I was in the hip hop. I was in the classic rock, which is classic rock now, I guess. But the only music that I really wasn't into then was like country music.
You sound like me. You anything can catch your attention. You're not stuck somewhere.
Right. And there is some country that I do like, but it was more, to me, it was more hip hop. It was always the hip hop. So I met this guy, man, and his name was Romeo, and he was a rapper. And man, he, we did an audition or whatever, a beatbox for him, man. And they said, I know we're doing a tour, man. We've got a limousine, and we're touring, Atlanta. We're touring Tennessee, all over Alabama, man. We're touring everywhere. We performed at the Civic Center in Birmingham. Actually, that performance, what that was for a contest let me think of the name of the show. Used to be a show, the co-host to the late night show. He was the actual host of this music show. What is the name of it? I can't believe I drawing a blank here. But we won that night, that contest, and we had to go to Atlanta to perform again. We won the first night in Atlanta. The second night, we changed up our song from, a hype hip hop song to more like a I Need Love run, type of what's his name, bro? Does I Need Love? I Need Love.
Oh, I Need Love. If you wouldn't ask me, I'd have told you.
Anyway, we changed it to that style song, and we lost out to a country singer. Cool J, yeah, LL Cool J. We lost out to a country singer, man. Believe it or not. But yeah, so it was Star Search. Star Search was the name of the show.
Yeah, I just put it out there. Ed McMahon. Carlo got it.
Yes, Ed McMahon. Star Search. So that was pretty cool, man. And then, we toured for a long time. We went in the studio and did a couple CDs and had a good time, man. He's actually touring now with his book. He wrote a book, and I'm actually in the book he told me the other day that I'm in the book and some of the stories for our journey is in the book. So I thought it was pretty cool, man. So yeah, it was a blast, man. And then I was from there I started managing a couple of hip hop Christian rap artists, and then I was
What time frame? What years are we talking about here?
then was let's see, when I was in American Boys, I'm gonna say like 80, 89,
Okay.
maybe somewhere around in that, 88, 89. And then when I got into the, as far as managing the Christian hip hop, that was around '07. Was when I started doing that. And then I was a road manager for a Christian rock band, and they ended up getting signed to a label. And the only thing that kept me from going on the road with them is they really couldn't pay me enough at the time to stop, working.
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, it just wasn't going to having a family. If I would have been like by myself, like I am now, you know, uh, I'd been like on the bus, But with the family growing up, the kids, it just didn't work out. But
Well,
they did pretty good, man. They was a big group.
what was high school like? What was your first car? Who's your first girl?
High school, man, I didn't make it all the way through high school because of my lifestyle. Um, so yeah, I didn't make it all the way through like high school. Wished I had. I ended up going to a little community college in Birmingham, and you know, kind of fixed that. You know what I mean?
So you got your GED.
I got and yeah. So high school was just that was a kind of a blurry time for me in high
It's a
school.
blur for
I'm gonna say
many.
around seventh, eighth grade. It kind of went south.
Same thing happened to me. 7th grade. I loved it so much I went twice. And,
Yeah,
it's when you turn into a hellion. I didn't give a damn except for what I was doing and how I wanted to do it, and somehow I did a little bit of refocusing. I was and I made it through high school, and obviously went into college, and barely for all the above, but I was there. um, Mostly because even not so much in current times, you've got people, there's um, there's acceptance to skilled trades and things
yeah,
like that now. In the 80s and things like that, that was probably the best decade ever, but it had the most snobs that could have ever existed. That was
yeah,
when peer pressure was king, because it wasn't only, the 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 ease of drugs and partying that was around, but it was also that, if you didn't take off and go to college, and become a doctor or a lawyer, you just weren't anything, or you weren't going to be anything in life.
yeah.
Which couldn't have been further from the truth. I know plenty of people, a whole lot of people, that make more than any doctor or lawyer could ever dream of doing. But
Absolutely.
there's a lot of peer pressure there, and I had several friends that didn't, they didn't finish it out, and they, like you, became really good people. They took that path that, I don't, whether drugs and partying called them, or they called the party, I don't know. But at people, smart people, I don't care what path you go down, eventually you kind of look around and go, wait a minute,
Yeah,
this isn't for me. Some people are unfortunate, and it becomes a lifelong battle,
yeah,
which doesn't seem to have been the case with you, obviously.
yeah. I knew a guy, man. He never, went to school. I don't even think he went. Like, he didn't go to high school. I don't think he went past the fifth grade. And dude was a millionaire. He owned a trucking business, and just smart, man. Smart as a whip, bro. And I just, that it's good to go to school, and I'm not saying it's not, because both my sons graduated, and from high school, and they did really well in school.
Yeah, I don't want to say education is not important. It's just being educated in what you want to do is the most important thing. Education is relevant to your environment.
Yeah.
A-
There's
and
a lot of broke smart people, bro.
There's a lot of broke smart people. You're exactly right, because they can read anything and retain something out of a book. But it's also the fact that if you're let's just say you're broke down in the middle of the desert, your car's overheated and everything, and all this, and you just, you know, who do you need at that point in time? Do you need a mechanic or do you need a doctor?
You need
Education is very
WC.
important to your current environment. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yep. Absolutely. You need WC
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that situation.
You need some Walker County in your life about that.
Absolutely, man.
So,
What they talking about in the chat, bro? I ain't even really never
I
seen
think
anybody.
everybody's just really kind of listening. Cruz asked me to leave this one up because he had to go deal with some family stuff. Said it was really
Okay.
cool. We enjoyed it. And Rich is talking about SmackDown, and Benji's cussing out the Daybot.
What's up, Benji?
Hey, if you're in here, what's the head count? Give me a thumbs up, man. Let us know who all's in here. Andrew's been quiet. He must be watching the weather because it's raining.
Yeah.
But so what was your first full-time job? What let's say, obviously you said, okay, I'm done with school.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take another path, and you course correct. You get on another path, and what did you look to? I mean, other than God and being around the right people, what career choice did you look at, and why?
My first job that I had was, if Virgil's in here, he might like this. My first job was I run the backpack blower for a street sweeper. We'd go to these grocery stores, and I was the one that blew off the sidewalks and everything, blew all the trash out in the parking lot for the sweeper to come through and clean it up. So that was like my very first job that I had, and it didn't last too long because that backpack blower got pretty heavy. But yeah, that was probably my first job that I have. Now I did take in the little community college I went to, man, and is private investigating. It was really interesting to me. I learned a lot about it. And, I thought my career was going to go in that direction, but afterwards, not so much. So, and then after, I'm sorry, you said something?
Nope.
Oh, after that, I kind of just started. My job for the longest was playing pool. I would shoot pool, and I probably did that for 3 years.
Now, were you self-taught, or did someone kind of show you the ropes on that?
My mother taught me.
That's
my
what
mother,
you said that the other night.
Yeah, she was really good at pool, and she taught me. I heard that my dad was good, but I never really seen him play or anything. But mom, man, she's one that taught me. When I seen her play, I was like, this is where I need to be. And
Nice.
man, I was making a good living, man. Shooting pool in tournaments, or if it was cash tournament, I would like to play the cash tournaments. I did play a few for some sticks, and I think I've got a medal or two that I won. I did have one hanging right here. I don't know what I did with it. And we would do a lot of ring games, like 9-ball, or
Mhm.
5, 10, 15 would be the money ball. So, and then playing poker, playing cards was another thing that I did. And that's something that me and Beardless Gamer, we run together at that time when the pool playing and the poker and all that was taking place. So,
Did you win a lot of money?
I did, man. I've lost some too now, but
Yeah.
It paid the bills for sure. I could go in, and there's nights that I went in with $5 and come out with, 600, or go in with $5 and come out with 100, or go in with 100 and come out with $5. So But more times than most, you know, I would get into the ring games to where if you got 4 or 5 guys in this ring game and you get one money ball, you're good. You know, you're gonna get a little payday in that. So it was a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I played I played on a bush league for years, but it was all recreational to me. It was go to the bar, drink some beer, have some fun, but I have 2 very close friends that today are hardcore sharks. I would love to see the person that could beat them because it rarely happens, and they
Right.
very unassuming. They will shark you in inside of a second. You know, they'll go in
Right.
there and just act dumb as hell. They're perfect at it. They know how to run the game. Next thing you know, somebody's lost 15 grand.
Yeah.
And they are hauling it to the truck and getting the hell out of Dodge.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Now I could pretty much read who was the hustler and who wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, because a hustler does. You know, a hustler acts like he don't know what he's doing. Or most hustlers, the ones that I know around, you know, when I was in the game was, you know, they would act stupid, and you could read them pretty quick. You know?
Yeah.
You know, they play one game and then you hear this right here. Hey man, you want bump it up a little bit, and they'll lose to you a couple of times. Just hey, you wanna double or nothing, or bump it up, and then you won't get another shot. You know.
See, Billy and Craig, they always go in there like 2 velociraptors. It's 2 of them. It's not just one. They always do it. They always do it together. So it confuses people because usually they'll act like they're fighting with each other and losing
Yes.
big and winning big and they'll reel in somebody with a deep pocket going, "Oh, you think you can beat me?" And out of nowhere,
seen
poof,
that
they
happen.
win the money.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. We went to me and a buddy of mine that was pretty good. We went to the Birmingham race course, and they had some pool tables in there, and we come up. There was this older gentleman. I mean, he was probably, you know, he was probably 70 years old, bro. This is no lie. And he had a hat on, um, and I could just tell. I knew this guy could shoot some pool. I knew he was a hustler. And my buddy wanted to play him. I told him, I said, don't do it. I said, don't go play him for money because you ain't gonna like it. Oh, I think I can beat him. You know, he was young. He was pretty good shot. You know, he's one of those guys that wore the gloves, and you know,
Right.
he was pretty good. Well, he come back. You know, that finally after about 6 games, that old guy said, and I mean no disrespect when I say old guy, but he looked at him and said, son, you might want to stop while you can. And he said, yes, sir, I'll stop. He was probably down $100 by this time, you know.
Damn. I've seen some serious losses, man. There's I was fortunate enough, and how I got into Bush League was in somewhere in the early 80s, not too far down the road from me. There was, of course, there was the skating rink that everybody went to on Friday and Saturday nights when we were kids. And then right beyond that, about the same time I got my driver's license, a huge pool hall opened up. There must have been easy 60 pool tables in this place. And
Wow.
it was always jam packed, man. And I mean, a lot of old guys in there, a lot of old school guys. And I learned some tricks and everything. But like I said, I never took it seriously. You know, it's because let me tell you, if a pretty woman walked up to the bar by herself, I was out of the game. See you, bye.
Mala. Yeah.
Whether I walked up there physically or not, which a lot of times I would, mentally I'd checked out. And
Right.
and anything, it just I was just there to have fun.
Yeah.
But like I said, a few friends took it really serious, and then a place called Players Place opened up on the other side of town, and they started having these major tournaments and stuff. And then that's when Billy and Bubba and Craig, friends of mine, they got real serious about it, and they got real good within a couple of years. I mean, they were traveling around the United States, winning, losing some, but they were ranked nationally.
Right. Yeah, that's the one thing I never got into a league. I started to at one point because I kind of wanted to try to get some type of ranking, but I didn't. And that's when I was talking about when my son was born. It was kind of in that time too, where I was just getting real heavy into, and I was getting pretty good, man. And if I would have kept going, I'd probably be really good at this point. But that's kind of like when things started changing in my life, and was meeting the Lord, and my son was born, and everything. So kind of pool, and the gambling thing, far as shooting pool and playing poker was put on the back burner, and had to get a real job.
So were you
So
married at this time?
no, yeah, well, yeah, we had been married because Justin was married. I mean, born. At this time, I think he was. He might have been 6 months old, maybe something like that. And tell you a funny story. I think I might have told this on my stream the other night, but my wife was with me there at this time, and was playing pool, and this guy I didn't know, and he kept checking out my wife, and he was like, finally he said, "Hey man," he's like, "Do you know her?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro." He's like, "You mind introducing me to her, man? I think she's fine." I was like, "No, I don't mind at all, bro." I was like, "Hey, Trish, come here a minute, said, I want to introduce you to, what's your name, brother? Well, this is so and so. And I said, "Hey, man, this is my wife." And he was like, his eyes got real big. He was like, "Oh, God, float," because he kind of knew of my reputation. And he was like, "Dude, I'm so sorry." I was like, "Bro, it's cool, man. Don't worry about it. You didn't know." Look, Beardless Gamer had done got around behind him because he knowed what was
Right.
going to happen. He wasn't expecting me to say, "It's cool, brother. Don't worry."
He's ready for the rumble.
Yeah, he was ready for the rumble, but and he just kind of gave me that look. I was like, "Oh, it's cool, man." So we continued on shooting pool, and he never said another word,
And most people don't, they. A lot of people do mean some harm when they do that, but there's a lot that don't. They don't know. They just see the woman in the room,
Right.
But Rich wants to know when you will win Bassmaster Elite Series, man.
Probably in about I'm gonna say around somewhere around about 20. What year is this? 20, probably around about 2030.
2033.
2033. You sap suckers, man. I'm gonna tell you what. It is crazy though, because I normally catch fish, and if I take my camera and try to do a video, I do not catch fish. WC finally got to where he don't want to do videos with me, especially doing fishing videos, because
it
I don't
jinxes
catch
you.
no fish. Yeah, it's like the camera comes out, because we was going fishing the other day. I said, "Bro, we're gonna do a video." He's like, "I really don't want to do a video, man." I was like, "You thinking bad luck piece, don't you?" He's like, "No, man, just every time we do videos, man, we don't catch nothing." And it's like, all right. So I didn't do a video. We went out there and didn't catch a thing.
You need to keep it in your pocket until y'all catch something. Then you make a video about it. Until it's on the line, don't fire up the camera.
Right. Because I've actually, in that spot that y'all see most of my fishing videos on, I've actually caught fish, down the road at the spillway, caught a 5-pounder, caught a 3-pounder, and I actually took them and put them in that spot. But and man, I remember one day at that spot, man, I think I caught 50, no lie, 50 bass. Now they wasn't like big. All of them was maybe a pound or two, but that place is slap full of them, and it's just a weird spot. One day you may catch something, the next day you won't see a fish. Like the other day, we didn't see a thing.
What got you? When did fishing come into your world?
It actually, man, I actually fishing, from when I was, a teenager, I enjoyed going fishing. So it's been, I could probably say, since I was around 13 or 14, it didn't really never get into fishing hardcore, but it was something I enjoyed going and do.
It's something that hits me in spurts. It comes and goes. I think I take it for granted more than anything, really, because I've always lived within walking distance of water.
Right.
But For me, it goes back to my childhood at a very young age when I was 7 or 8. No, 7. My parents separated, and my dad moved up the coast into North Carolina, into Emerald Isle. And when I spent a good bit of time with him, and I was up there, up the scallops and everything up there. It's for some of y'all down there. It's about an hour from here. You can literally dive in the water and catch the scallops and stuff. And that's where my he lived on an island, which across the street, 1 block over, was the ocean. He's on the backside of the island. That's literally only like, I think it's a total of 3 blocks deep in some places, but he's on the river. And we go out in the dock, and every afternoon I'd run out the end of the dock and dive in and grab buckets full of scallops and eat them all the time. And it always takes me back, or we'd sit out there underneath the covered pier head and fish at night. I like night fishing. I don't like doing it during the day too much. I can't slow down enough. Do you see what I'm saying? I feel like I can't sit there long enough to enjoy it. But if it's at night, I can sit there and chill out and do whatever.
Night fishing is peaceful.
Yeah. It's if you can get your head there, and for me, and me and my son used to do a whole lot of fishing. First time I ever took him like fishing seriously, when he had like his first real rod. 8-pound spot tail bass, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Within like 5 minutes, I was like, we might catch a couple of trout or something. We might get hooked on a whiting or two, saltwater fish. And out of nowhere, his rod goes, and I was like, what? I thought it's got to be a stingray or shark. They're the only things that can pull that hard, that fast. Nope.
Spot's aggressive.
Spot tail.
Yeah, they're aggressive.
And he reeled it in too. And I was highly impressed of it with him doing that. He fought and fought and fought, and he wasn't going to give up until he had it. And he got it in.
Right.
He got close. I grabbed the net, and we were good. Now, he and I love to go. Flounder and trout are our 2 favorite things, and so that's what usually we'll head to the creeks for. And that's actually what got us up here. Is it's more of sandy creeks here versus pluff mud like you find in the lower parts. And so there's a whole lot more flounder and stuff up here because it's easier for them to bed down into it. So it's good catching around here.
Yeah. Well, we used to, we would go camping. We had a big family, man. My mother, she had 2 brothers and 4 sisters. So, I mean, it was a big family, and we would go every weekend. If we wasn't at my grandmother's house, we were at the lake camping, and we would stay the whole weekend. So we would do a lot of, back then it was a lot more brim fishing, bobber fishing, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then there was some catfishing at night, and I'm not big on catching catfish or anything like that, but I mean, it's fun.
Fingerling catfish and brim are the best fried fish to ever put in your mouth, though, man.
Yes.
Small catfish, not these big ones, just them little ones.
Yeah. And fresh, right there on the campfire.
Yep.
Come on, man. Well, you could. My
dad used to know this guy. His last name is Christmas. That was his real last name, H.A. Christmas. That lives up here in Murrells Inlet. Still alive now. That dude's like 102 years old, and used to go to he had a fish camp. It was a campground on the river, and man had some of there was a seafood restaurant, and it's fried seafood. It's called Calabash style seafood. And every Friday night, man, they would come fry every Friday and Saturday night. I think that they had a hog cooker out there. It was barbecue, all the fried seafood you could dream of. And every weekend, that's where I was for many moons, man. And oh man, there's nothing better. And big
WC
fire.
and I. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said always a big fire.
Yeah, that's something that WC and I have been talking about. We're going to try to do a overnight, YouTube video where we go down to our spot, we camp out, and try to do some catch and cook, some catch and cook or something. But we're gonna have a big fire and fix up the camp spot and all that. So hopefully that'll come before it starts getting hot again and all the no-showers are running around.
Hey,
Hey,
B.
what's up? What's up, Brittany?
Well, we've covered. I mean, you've got God, you got fish, you got fish and bread in your basket, so to speak. What was your world other than that? What was it like before YouTube?
Before YouTube? Well, before YouTube, I mean, it was for the longest. It was living the family life. Was married, and the two boys. It was work and go to work. I actually got into pest control back in 99. I think it was 98, 99, and ended up going to school for that. I was when I went to work for this company, it was Cook's Pest Control. That's who I went to work for, and I had no clue that you would have to go to school to learn this thing. Some companies will hire you without that, but with Cook's, man, they said, well, you're gonna have to go for a month. You'll go down to Decatur for a week, and then you can come home on the weekends and you'll do this for 4 weeks. So the first week down there, bro, I get there and I had no clue. It was like going to college. I mean, I was like, my gosh, I didn't know this. I had to know all this to kill bugs.
It gets deep,
but
man.
It gets deep, brother. You got to know the insects. You got to know what kills the insects. I mean, it was like going to college, and you had to do your homework, and on Fridays you'd have a test, and if you didn't pass that month, if you didn't pass every test, you didn't work for Cooks.
Right.
And I passed, luckily with like a 74, maybe I think it was, but I passed. I got through, and I put about 15 years in on pest control. I ended up being for this one company, I was the manager of the termite department and the manager of the pest control department, and was growing this company, man, just leaps and bounds, man. This company was growing and would have been one of the top pest control companies, termite companies in Birmingham or in Alabama. And one day I'm driving down the road, I've got a nice truck that the owner of the place, got me a truck, and I was doing really well, no complaints, and I get a text on my phone, and I read it, I mean, it's just a few minutes, and I get a phone call, and it's the owner of the company. He said, "Man, did I just send you a text?" And I said, "Yeah, you did." And I said, "Do I need to start looking for a new job?" No, everything's cool. It's all right, man. Don't worry about it. And that next morning, he had me in his office. He was like, "Man, please don't tell your technicians about what took place." What the message I got was supposed to went to his business partner. They were talking about selling the company, and and they actually did. They sold the company to it's Knox Pest Control. They sold the company to them, man, and they came in and had a meeting with us, and they were like, "Don't worry about nothing. I know you're all worried, but your job titles won't change, your money won't change, nothing will change except for the name of who you're working for." That was a straight up lie.
Yeah.
The very first day they took my position, I went from manager to technician. Went from my big F-150 I had to a little S10, and then went on a route. They put me on a route. So the first year I worked with that company, I lost 10 grand. So I worked 1 year with them, and that was it. So got out of pest control.
What made you kind of move away from the industry as a whole? You just wanted something new, or?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing that
I just ask because there is good money in that industry for sure.
There is good money in that industry, but everybody wants to, even with my background and my experience of 15 years and being the manager, and I've had to deal with the state a few times, and just even with that background, you go to a new company, they want to start you out on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. So I would have had to work. I worked 15 years to get where I was at. I didn't want to have to put that hard work in again, man. To start over with the knowledge I knew and my experience, man. And so I ended up getting into. I started actually doing lawn care, and um, I got in with I seen a sign one day. I was riding down the road. I've been cutting some yards, and I seen a realty sign, and the grass was all growed up. So I called them and got in touch with them and said, hey, the grass is like knee high here on this property. You need somebody to take care of it, man. It might sell a little bit faster if y'all let me clean it up. So I went in, talked to them, showed them proof of insurance and all that, because you had to have all that. And so got started, did the first job, man, and did a before and after picture. And they absolutely, was floored by it and just started sending me work. And I ended up having like 32 yards. Well, with their yards and the yards that I already had, I ended up with like 32 at one point. And that was the highest that I got, was 32. And then the competition in that just got cutthroat. Everybody's underbidding and winning the bids, underbidding you and stuff. So kind of got out of that part of it, because I was also doing trash outs on foreclosures and doing initial cleanups on foreclosures and that kind of thing, which was awesome money at the time.
And then the same thing happened there.
Yeah, same thing happened there, man. Everybody started coming in underbidding, and now it's just the competition was just crazy.
Yeah. Is
So
that what eventually led you into working for the mower place, for lack of a better term?
yeah, I actually, when I stopped doing that and I started working with them part time and still doing the lawn care too. So I'm working the company I work for now. I work 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then, on the other days I was either doing lawn care, and then I got into dabbling in with when I was working with a friend of mine doing stone work, stone mason and brick mason and that kind of stuff, to where we ended up, I was doing pressure washing for him. And I was seeing the money he was making in pressure washing. And so I started dabbling in the pressure washing, and and then what was a game changer of that was actually watching your videos and stuff and seeing the soft wash side of the business, because I had no, had clue. I was pressure washing houses, bro. I had no clue about the soft wash industry, man. And so that was a game changer. So I'm still working for that company. I'm trying to build up enough in the pressure washing, soft washing, to where I can just go full time on my own. But the company's been good to me, man. They, I can't complain about them. They took care of me, and
Right.
Yeah. So.
And it's good to have a place like that, because, like you said, to back up a little bit, pest control can be very cutthroat. And there's good money in there, but people, because it's good money and it's not hard work, people will fight for shit. And
Yeah.
because when my late wife, when she passed away, I think I've shared this story with you and others before, is I was like, well, even before she passed, I was like, I'm done with the landscaping for a while. We're shutting the door on that, because it was just taking too much time, more time than I wanted to give a real job. And so that's when the tour industry thing kicked up, because although I can go get my tour guide license, I can prop up a business downtown, and I don't even have to do the work. I just hire guides,
Yeah.
which is a lot easier to do than keep an eye on a landscape crew. And because these are people that have studied hard to pass a test that is nationally is considered insane. And because of the knowledge you have to have, so you're dealing with a certain group of people that you 9 times out of 10 you could trust very well, and what they know what they're doing. But after that, when I was like, okay, what now? I got into pest control because a friend of mine, Andy, was saying, just come work for me for a while, man, until you can figure it out, And I was like, well, I'm in no hurry to do anything. tour money is good money. We're doing good over here. You know, it's
Right.
I'm not breaking the doors down, but I didn't have the energy to like try to grow it exponentially. I was just, it was making good money. It was kept me level, you know, and kept me busy. And that's all I was really worried about. And the more I talked to Andy, he was, you know, come on, you know, we really just need somebody over here that, you know, that can sell, that could do some stuff. And I was like, all right, well, you know, let me set me up a meeting then, you know, because he's the manager, but the owner still to this day is still very much involved. And
Right.
he's the one that nobody gets hired without his approval. So, you know, long story short, sets up an interview, and they tried telling me that I'm going to start off at the bottom, you know, doing home inspections and you know, spraying in people's houses and stuff as a
Right.
technician. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Sorry, not doing it. Love you,
Right.
but no. I was like, I don't. I've come too far to just back that far up. I was like, I've
Right.
had a license forever.
Yeah.
At that point in time, it wasn't current because I stopped going to classes because I wasn't doing pest control anymore of any kind on lawns or anything. I was subbing that stuff out and I just let it go. But the funny thing is, they called me back about 2 minutes later and they said, hey, we don't know that this is going to shake out too well. We don't know what's going to happen around here, but we're going to bring you straight into sales.
Right.
And pissed people off. Oh my God, people were pissed at me, dude. That, you know, but you know, I mean, I earned my keep, which they knew I would. But some of the
Right.
techs that were hoping to, you know, get up to this to just only sales only, oh boy, they did not like me for a while.
Right.
But it you know, it is what it is. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this about me. We've got some questions.
Well, for example, I'll give you an example on that real quick. Is what's up, Wild Bill? I see you, brother, with the super chat over there. Uh, is like my monthly, say my monthly service would be 30 or 35. My quarterly service would be 65 to 75. The company that bought them out, their monthly would be 15 and their quarterly would be 45, 35 to 45. That's a big difference right there
That's
because
huge.
they were cut. It was a cutthroat. They were trying to get everybody's business by offering low prices, and that's what is hurting the industry out there, man. Is how everybody's doing that, and you know. So, but we were
I
doing
know
really
now
good.
that this was 2015 on Centricon and bait stations and think people don't make anywhere near what I was making when I sold one contract for an annual, you know, termite
Oh
bond.
yeah, a liquid bond, yeah, because you had your replacement bond and you had a treatment bond.
Mhm.
A treatment bond was a lot cheaper than a replacement bond, of course, but you know you do that liquid treatment, you're looking at $1,000, maybe 1,500, maybe 2,000. Just depends on size of the house, what you got to do. This Centricon and this termite bait station, they come in with a one-time fee of $400 to put it in,
425.
and then you they run it for 75 a quarter or whatever, 125 a quarter, and
Yep.
so that the base stations, man, and my thing on the base station, because I was licensed on Centricon and the liquid as well, was my thought was this on the base stations. Okay, they do work once they get in there, but you got them 8 to 10 feet apart. What's to keep that
Up to
termite
20.
from going? Yeah, up to 20. And what's to keep that termite from going straight through the middle and getting into the house? You know.
And the company that I work for, they called a lot of heat for this, but they would not do only Centricon. You had to do liquid and bait because of that reason.
Got to do a booster, yeah.
Yep.
Liquid
Had to
booster,
boost it.
absolutely, yeah. You know, we kind of did that too. Once we went into the Centricon thing, is we would do a booster. The only way you would get a replacement warranty was to actually do a liquid booster on the house too. So,
See, I've thought about since all that, since moving up here, I've thought about jumping back into it before because there's only one pest control company up here. There's a lot of room.
right. They're everywhere here, bro. They're everywhere.
Yeah, and they're everywhere, Myrtle Beach and down in Charleston. But here around Polly's, Litchfield, there's only there's only one company. There's a couple other guys that are, you know, kind of solo. They probably do very well.
Yeah.
But there's only one company, and they're literally like right down the street from me on the other side of town. But
well, see, I almost went solo, brother. I when I was with that company, I almost went solo, but the owner caught word of it. So he calls me in his office. He's like, "Look, man, I don't want to lose you." So he offered me a new truck. He offered me a big raise, and all this good stuff made it look great to keep me. And I fell for it and stayed. You
right.
know, 3 people. There's probably 3 or 4 guys that I trained that are actually own their own business now and doing really well, and pest control and termite. And but yeah, I listened to him, man, and never went solo. I kick myself every now and then for it, but I kind of think about it that it was kind of good because of the way the industry is now. You know, who knows
Say the
what
industry, the insurances, and all that, and the bond. Holy shit, the bonds you got to carry, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
And, that's ridiculous,
it
but
absolutely is
justifiable.
Mhm.
But you know, there's soft washing. I'm sure we just lost Virgil. It's minimal investment with a lot of income potential for a lot. I mean, that's why it's really the big. It took over lawn care about a year
Yeah.
ago on YouTube. Everybody went because it's, you know, or for the same amount with less overhead, you know, you can potentially doing more harm than good if you don't know what you're doing, but it's easy to
Mhm.
get into, and the profits are high, and it doesn't kill you. It doesn't wear you out. That's why I like, you know, talking to Virgil recently, a couple others, I might ditch the damn thing, you know, but there's so much money
Yeah,
there, man. You know,
there
it's
is. But see, you've got bigger things on the
yeah.
coming forth. Yeah. So I understand why you would actually have to. And I heard you talk about, that you could, find somebody to run it for you, which would be awesome. But you got bigger, better things down the road that's
Yeah,
about to
even if
happen.
I get somebody to operate it and it, you know, is a zero sum game for me for a little bit, I wouldn't care. Even maybe a little loss, I wouldn't care. But
Yeah.
it's today's world. That climate is just very different. You know, it's easy to teach somebody how to do something with a shovel because they can't do much damage to somebody's house. But
Right.
you know, you fry an outlet on the outside of a house. Well, there's a big problem.
Absolutely. So I learned a lot of that stuff from you, man. Your videos and stuff, man. I learned a lot from watching your channel and
Virgil
how to.
asked, did you grow up with motorcycles?
Uh, Actually, yeah. With my uncles, my uncles had motorcycles. Uh, my dad actually, like I said, I didn't know him. I hope really well, but mom telling me stories and uncles, telling me stories. He was actually, he raced these motorcycles, the round dirt track, uh, and they're completely sideways. I forget what you call them, but they're just going around that dirt track,
Oh yeah.
sideways. That's what he did, and he was really good at it. But yeah, my uncles had motorcycles, and my first motorcycle was I think I was like 8 or 9. Uh, my grandmother on my dad's side actually bought me and my brother a little Honda 50. And man, that thing was
Those
sweet,
little
man.
50s, man, when you're a kid, those things are the shit.
Bruh, it was, I mean, we rode it, and that's what I learned on. I remember one time I was riding, my mom was on the back with me, and I just started learning how to ride, man, and I was wide open and went into a fence and threw her over the fence. Uh, yeah, so that was my first motorcycle wreck and threw my mom over a fence. So, but yeah, dirt bikes. I had a little CR80. I had a
That was my first,
75
was a CR80. That was the first thing I had.
CR80. That little thing would scream. My brother had a 125. I had the 80. He had the 125. He was better uh, riding dirt bikes and stuff. I mean, he was like a Willie King, man. He was always riding wheelies and stuff. And and then it went from my Enduro. I had a Enduro 125, which is a street and dirt
Yeah.
bike, and that thing was pretty awesome. You'd be riding down the road and see a trail and just take it. And they just kind of went from there. From that one, I ended up getting a Radian 650. I got a 750R, lowered and straight, stretched out, or like it had drag bars on it. So that joker
Nice.
was awesome. And then I had a 78 Yamaha 1100 classic bike, man. That bike was sweet. I ended up giving that bike away to somebody. A gentleman, we was actually at church, and there was this gentleman up in the prayer line, right? So now some of y'all might think this story's crazy, but I'm gonna tell it. But so I'll go up to him and I lay my hands on his back and just praying for him, And I hear this voice that says, "Give him your motorcycle." I took my hands off that dude quick, and I was like, "No, no, no."
Wrong,
Brother. I started sweating. I felt this tightness in my stomach. I'm sweating, I'm like, and I look around. I notice people are looking at me like, "Is he talking to himself?" Because I'm over there like, "No, Lord, no." I'm fighting with the Lord. I'm like, "No," and then so I shake it off and I go back and I do it again, bro. I lay my hands on him and I hear that voice again, and I was like, "Oh gosh, I hope this is you, Lord." And he turned around after the prayer, I said, "Sir," I said, "So I don't know what you're getting prayed for, but," I said, "Do you have a motorcycle?" He said, "No, man, I don't." And I was like, "Well, you do now." He said, "Excuse me?" I said, "Well, I'm giving you my motorcycle." Dude started weeping, right, crying. And he tells me, "Do you know why I'm in prayer line?" I said, "No." He said, "I'm in a motorcycle ministry, but I don't have a motorcycle."
Get out.
And I had no clue, bro. That motorcycle, I gave it to him, right? It tore all over. He would get on that thing and he would tour all over and go to, and all he did was minister. He'd stop at like truck stops and he would minister to people, and he'd send me pictures of him and somebody that got saved, or, and it was just awesome, dude, to know that bike went so far and
That's
did
awesome.
such good things. Yeah. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Then after that one, I ended up with a Honda, a little 650 that was too small for me, but I got a great deal on it and bought it. Ended up giving that bike away, and then I got the last bike I had was a Honda Shadow 1100.
Nice.
So yeah,
So you've had quite a few then.
Yeah, I've had quite a few bikes.
I grew up around them too. I didn't for many years I didn't own one, and I owned one during years that I shouldn't have owned one. I was that smart in my 20s when it was balls to the walls, party as hard as you can. Literally I partied a lot in high school. That's how I barely got through high school. But my 20s, ooh man. And I knew better. I knew better than to own a motorcycle. And of course, when crotch rockets are king and stuff, I was like,
Yeah.
no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to participate. And I didn't. It was, I didn't buy a motorcycle for when I was 34ish. I didn't. So there's about a 14-year gap there. So that I didn't even buy one. And,
I remember one night on that 750, bro, that one I was telling you about, it was stretched. I was coming down and I had a bomber jacket. And this bomber jacket had, like, my girlfriend bought it for me for Christmas. And it had like a police badge, a fire department badge. It had all these different service badges on it, or patches, not badges, but the patches. And so I'm cruising around on that 750. I ain't got license one at this time. And I come up on a roadblock, man. So I'm gearing down on that bike the whole time in my mind. I'm running through this. When I get close enough, I'm gunning it and I'm running through this
jet.
Yeah. So I'm getting close to him and he sees me and he looks at me. Next thing you know, he waves me through, and I'm like, I hammered down going through, because I guess he thought I was an officer because he saw that bomber jacket.
Yeah.
And he just
and sometimes they'll only take like every fifth car or something too, and I've been blessed by that many times. Pull up. It's like, oh shit, because they know how to do it and put it in places where you can't really turn around or anything.
You can't. Yeah. There's no side road to take or nothing. You're done.
Every time that I've pulled up on one when it was probably the worst circumstances for me to have been pulling up on one, I got waved through. I don't know how, I don't know why. It just always worked out that way. And Rich wants to know, what do you like better, TikTok or YouTube?
Well, man, that's for a while there, Rich. I got into, was it Rich that asked that? Rich, I got into TikTok and was loving it. I still like TikTok, but I haven't really went live in a long time. Because I got away from, I put my YouTube to the side because, and the reason why I did that, Rich, is because at the time is when all of these, the haters started. And I told myself when I started YouTube, because when I started YouTube, I only started the channel so I could comment on people's videos or,
Right.
like their videos or that kind of thing. And then ended up starting doing content. And I told myself if it ever gets stressful for whatever reason,
walk away.
Yeah, walk away from it. So it was getting to that point to where it was getting stressful, and it was getting to the point to where my mind was thinking like I used to think in the old days
Right.
about people. And back in the old days, if you mess with me, I mess with you. You push me, I push you, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And so
More
it
like
was
you
getting
push
to,
me, I knock you the hell out.
right. And I even told him one time, I was like, you don't really know who I am, or you don't know
I
who
remember
I
you saying
was,
that.
and so I kind of, before that happened, because I didn't want to come to that point, I didn't want to, some old float or whatever come out, so I backed away from YouTube for a while and started getting into TikTok. So, but I like them both, Rich. There's a lot of fun in both, man, because without YouTube, I wouldn't have known you guys. I
Right.
wouldn't have met Dirty. I wouldn't have met Rich or Wild Bill or Virgil. All these awesome channels that's in the chat right now.
And
And if I don't,
isn't it funny how you look back over the past 3 or 4 years and it's like, man, how life changed. It's all these cool people that I've met.
yeah.
Ben, you, Virgil, Ken, Bill. By the way, I'm scrolling slow and I just saw this as I was going by. Thank you a lot, man. Appreciate that.
Bill.
And all these people that I've come to know, and I feel like I know them just as good as people that I grew up with, because we're right
Yep.
here. It's the only
Exactly.
we're right here with each other. It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun. It's almost addicting in a way. It's replaced television for me in many ways.
Yeah, it has me. Yes.
It's it's like, why do I want to watch a show when I can do this, or
Exactly,
whatever.
man.
It's kind of cool. Dirty, can
Yeah.
you leave this up so I can watch what I missed? Yes, Bill, I can, because Cruz asked the same thing of me. So I will just watch for it. It will go away after a while. I don't like to keep them up. And so it'll stay up for a little bit. Let's see. Are there any other questions here?
There's Robin.
No.
Yeah. What's up, Robin?
Everybody's cutting up here. Sorry, I'm going to scroll to a current status here real quick.
Well, check out, make sure there's any questions while you're doing that. I just want to, again, thank everybody, man, that all you guys, man, I'm telling you, I love y'all, man. And, I had somebody ask me one time, Dirty, said, how can you tell me you love me and you don't even know me? And that's where it comes from, the love of Christ, man, that
Check
I
that
can
out.
love you. Come on, Robin.
Thanks. Appreciate
With
that.
the super chat.
All right.
But I mean it, guys. I absolutely love y'all. There's a lot of you guys I talk to on the phone, or we, messages through Messenger or text or whatever. And y'all have always been supportive and encouraging. Like when I was wanting to give up YouTube, there was some of y'all, you know who you are, would message me like, what are you doing, man? There's people out here that like you, that want to see you, that want to see your videos, that want to be in your live stream. So thank you guys for that. Or I probably would have walked away from YouTube, or wouldn't have been
glad
back
you
as
did.
soon as I did.
Although people like me, I'd have caught you wherever you were and tormented the hell out of you at TikTok or, any other platform that could have possibly come around. I might have.
Well, you did on TikTok.
I might have even reinvented myself as someone else and gone green and blue on you or something. Who knows? But
hey guys, listen, I know y'all have heard this story before, but when Dirty did that black and white on me, I ain't gonna lie, I peed a little bit. I'll put it out there. No, I didn't really, but when I seen that black and white and heard my name, I was like, oh snap. But my son heard it. He like after it was over, he come in and was like, "Dad, what did you do to that guy?"
And I was
I
only
was
joking when I did that one.
right, and I was like, "Well, son," I said, "he's really joking." I said, "He don't really hate me that much."
Well, speaking of your boys, you're gonna be a pawpaw.
That's right, man.
How much
That's
longer
right.
until it's not Pookie anymore? It's pawpaw.
It's pow pow pookie pow. I think it's going to be in August. I think is going to be the date, sometime in
Oh,
August. Yeah. So yeah, man, that's going to be another life changing moment right
now
there,
is this
man.
the son that's local or the one that moved up north?
The one that moved up to
Okay.
up north. Yeah, my youngest son. Yeah. So that it's going to be kind of hard, man. It's like you know, because my first grandbaby is going to be 12 hours away from me. So, that's going to be tough. But
I'm
man, I'm
I'm
super
I'm
happy.
sure travel is it. You better get to washing some houses so you can save up. And
Exactly.
hey, no joke. Look at plane tickets, man, especially like Spirit and things like that. Because if you book well in advance and you catch them on an off weird day, dude, you can get a ticket for $40 both ways.
Wow.
That's a hell of a lot cheaper than the gas and time.
You
So
ain't lying, and probably a lot. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot faster because it's
yeah,
right at a 12-hour drive from my
yeah,
house.
it's probably about a 2 hour, maybe 2 hours and 30-minute flight, maybe that long.
Yeah, he's wanting me to come up now, and he was supposed to came down for Christmas or for New Year's, but he couldn't get away from work. So, and I understand that, but
Is he doing good up
um,
there? Is life good?
he's doing good, man. He's loving it. I was being selfish and kind of hoping that he would. Hold on just a second, man. I'm getting a phone call. My bad. Am I here?
Yep.
Okay, I was getting a phone call. Uh, I was being selfish, and because I was hating that my son was being. I was saying it at the time, taken away from me. But when I realized how much that he loved her, and and how much he was enjoying his life there, is when I realized I was like, I got to be, a bigger man here and a better dad, and let him be happy. So he's actually loving it, man. And I was like, he's gonna hate all that snow, but he sends me
Right.
videos where he's on the side by side out there doing donuts and stuff. I'm like, man, golly,
Watching
man, I wish I was
watching
there.
a snowdrift.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I wish I was there. Dang. So, but yeah.
Willie's in the house.
What's up, Will?
And, well, good. Glad he's doing good. Maybe it's like I think we all. How old is he?
21.
Yeah. See, he's at that discovery point, man. They gotta flap their wings. I know I did it. Oh, look,
Yeah.
my Nightbot. Look at this. The Nightbot has not been there all night long until now. And look,
Who did get Robin or got
yeah,
Robin? What's
that
up,
thing
Just
has been in.
Jacob? I
It
didn't
ain't
see you,
said
Just
anything
Jacob.
to anybody all night long until now.
I apologize, guys. I haven't really been paying to attention to the chat. What's up, Just Jacob? My bad, man. I'm
There
sorry,
you
guys.
go.
I've been kind of focused on Dirty because I didn't know what he was going to throw at me, guys. To be honest with y'all.
Well, what does oh, look, it's there twice now. Oh man. Um and there was a fake one in here all night long. It disappeared and now the real one shows up. That's kind of funny. What's what's the next 5 years look like for Paul Pookie?
Hopefully, the next 5 years, bro, is putting a lot more time in my pressure washing business, pressure washing, soft washing business. Uh, Also the online business thing. That's probably the next 5 years. I really want to. Well, the next 2 to 3 years, I really want to focus more and invest more into that business because, yeah, I mean, I do have some of the equipment to do the job, but I would really like to have a setup, a rig, something, a truck, or a trailer setup, something like that. So that's the goal for me, man. Is to work my way out of working for the man.
And that's the best goal anybody can have, in my opinion. Is I'm very fortunate where there's been, even in times when could have been put under that umbrella as working for the man. I never was, because I like pest control. I was at my own free will to do some things. And it's I've always told myself I'd rather eat peanut butter and jelly on my own terms than eat steak on someone else's. So
Right. Yeah.
it I determine my outcome. I determine my worth, and I determine whether or not I'm going to go stare at waves or if I'm going to go make money.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, I've had an opportunity, man, hit me in the face to where they were like, to move down to the Gulf, down the Gulf Shores, hey, we've got tons of work here. We've got pressure washing that needs to be done, and man, it sounded sweet. And at the time when I declined it, is because, my youngest boy was still here and my oldest boy here. And, I wasn't going to pick up and leave my family, no matter how nice it looked, because it really looked nice. And being at the beach all the time in that weather was very tempting. But, I declined it. And then my sap-sucking son moved 12 hours away.
He nails up. That's I had a lot of offers that we required uprooting, and that were very worth me folding everything I had. I mean, people, it's like even when I was the horticulture department head over at Magnolia Plantation, I still own my company because, again, I negotiated. I was like, you need to give me a place for this to operate, so, and they were okay with that. And then I moved to the mountains of North Carolina and I moved up there because there was a brilliant artist who became a very close friend that was designing these water features, custom water features. I really wanted to learn how to do that. And I went up there, and I basically went up there, but it still is my company. He basically 1099 me is what it came down to. But I started doing some other things up there, and it's about as far as it got. But I had offers to go do things all around the United States, and just because of family, it's like I'm sticking where I am. It's like when my late wife passed away. A good friend of mine owns a hotel and a bar in Costa Rica, and he was like, come on down here. He said, I'll make sure what I offer you sounds really good in the States. And he just said, I need somebody to run this joint and look after it that I can trust and knows what's going on. And I thought long and hard about that one. I can tell you, it took me weeks to say no, but I couldn't. I was like, David, I can't, man. I've got a son, that's still here. That's still to me. I'd love to do it, and that's the only one that I look back at and go, God, the one that got away,
Right.
So I was like waves every day. I mean, because it was an oceanfront hotel and bar. It's like, geez, it is, but I didn't go. So
yeah, they offered me, housing and everything. I mean, it was an apartment that would have been paid for, but still, I mean, they offered the housing part and everything. Another goal that I have, bro, is, I'll mention this. My son come to me, he's got my oldest boy. He has a really good job. He has it's a great paying job, but he come to me. He's like, Dad, I would really like to, do something on my own, or, maybe one day I could work for you in pressure washing. And that just like, clicked in my head. I'm like, that could be something like that I could build, and him help me to where eventually he could take that over.
Right.
And
so, what does he do right now?
He works at a bakery right now.
Bakery. I knew it had something. I knew bread was in there.
Yeah, he's the one, like if you're eating a Milo sandwich or a Whataburger sandwich or a Jack sandwich or something like that, Yeah, he's made the bun. So
No way. I got to remember that.
yeah, I forget what all restaurants that they get him from, but I mean he works night shift. He's actually about to get the day shift job that he was wanting. So, but he actually does really well, man. It's a high paying job, so I'm proud of him. But he wants to, and if I could get him, and he's actually did a couple jobs with me and actually did really well. So that's just something I would love to see. Build the company up, and maybe one day he just take it over and pop a float, just kick back with the
Is that a
grandchildren.
turquoise ring you have?
Yeah.
I got one very similar to that, extremely similar to it. And I've got actually I have several of them, but I've got one that's very similar to that.
Yeah. I want one for this finger, and I want one for this finger as well.
So mine are for the two, whatever you call those, wedding band finger and
Yeah,
that's where all mine go.
Right there. So I like it, man. It's a pretty cool ring. Which I mean, I like the colors, and I'm just a fan of it. So if anybody's got any rings out there, fit these big old fingers, they want to sell them, hit me up.
That's where I've bought all mine for years from Native American Indian guy, Cherokee Indian, that custom makes them. And every time we go up there, I go to his jewelry place and either buy something, or the last thing I got was I go in there, but I don't know if my wife's asleep yet or not, so I don't want to wake her up. But beautiful bracelet that he custom made. He just said, I basically gave him some ideas and said, "You're at freedom from there." And it's really cool. It's big, so you can't just kind of wear it around all the time, or it kind of looks out of place. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
It's really nice.
I used to be that guy that wore the bracelets and all kind of rings. I mean, gold and gold rings. But I got away from the gold, man, and started wearing silver, man. It just looks better.
What I always had. I've always got these two on, but and I've got rings that I put. This one right here is the coolest one. That's where I'm at. That's, if you'll see, that's actually waves on it. That's actually all white gold and yellow gold.
Yeah, I like the yellow gold and the white. Yeah. My brother's different. I have an older brother, and he's a little different than me. He don't wear really well. He does wear he wears like the leather bracelets, and he wears, his necklace has a knife on it, and every pocket has a knife in it. And I think on his belt loop he may have knives. You ask him for a knife, he'll say, "Which pocket do you want?" You know what I mean? He's that type of person. He's a trip, man. He's the crazy one, right? I mean, I say crazy. He's the type. I'll tell you a story, man. One time I got into this fight it was out in the streets of Wylam, and it was two friends. It was actually two friends of mine, man, that was about to fight, and I was in the middle of them, and I was like, "Hey, man, come on, your friends don't fight." Well, one of them punched me, right? It was like, pow! He wanted to fight, so we started throwing down, bro, and I ended up getting him to where I had my knees on his shoulders, so I had him pinned to the ground. He wasn't going over, and I was wearing him out. Next thing I know, I see his head just go like that, and I look up, man, and my brother is tagging everybody. So I had to let him go stop my brother. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? Because he saw me fighting. He thought they were all jumping on me.
Right.
So he jumps out of the car and just starts tagging people, man. So I had to stop my fight to stop him. But yeah, he's a trip, man. He's a wild one, man. But, yeah,
you and your brother close?
Yeah, we are, man. We, at one point we were close as, when we were young as teenagers, kids up to teenagers. And then there was a time where I didn't want to be around my brother because of drugs and stuff like that. Got really bad with him. But that all changed, man, and he ended up, getting free of drugs, and man, he's doing really well for himself, man. He stays busy. He's got his own business where he
Nice.
He does a little bit of everything. He does lawn care, he does remodeling, carpet, tree work. little bit of everything.
He's the handyman.
So yeah, he's the handyman, and he's one of those that he's like, if I can't figure it out, I'll look at YouTube and or something, and we'll figure it out. But he knows a lot, man, and very cool. We favor a lot. He's smaller than I am, but we still favor a lot. And
Andrew wants to know if he has a beard too.
he has a long goatee. I don't have a way to show you a picture, but he has a long goatee and he braids it up. So he don't really do the beard thing much. He just does the goatee.
Yeah, that's I can't take it on the side of my face long enough, man, or down here. It starts bothering me, and goatees are fine, and even down a certain length of the burns. But I like a beard. I just can't hold on to it too long.
I used to be that way, just a goatee, and then I had what I called the chin hawk, where it just came down here and it was so long it looked like a mohawk on my chin.
That's what my brother has. He's got the extended soul patch.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had that for, the longest time, when I was touring and that kind of stuff. That was kind of what people knew me. The chin hawk. So
yeah.
Pretty cool.
Well, man, I appreciate your time, and learning a little bit more about you. And like I said, there's everybody that's been in here and is in here. I would like to make rounds with them and a lot of other people to, expand into the world
Absolutely.
of YouTube. This, like I just said a few minutes ago, to back up the bus, it has become so many people's world, social media,
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of people like Float. We've never met in person, but I would say he's almost like a brother. He's somebody I see daily. It's been awesome. I thank all of y'all for hanging in there. We're just short of 2 hours. Wow, we went
for real.
Long. Yeah,
Oh,
man,
wow.
We did.
You long-winded, dude.
It was a good time, man. Why not keep going? Why stop it?
It was a good time, brother. And I like what you're doing here. This is awesome, man, because, not only get to know somebody, you put a face to the channel and, you know what I mean? And like you say, just get to know somebody even better. Because a lot of people, man, they will judge somebody right off by just looking at them. And if you don't get to know them, you judge them real quick, you may miss out on the best friend that you ever had. And so I really like this a lot. Bro.
Very subtle joke.
That is a really good way to put it. Is you may miss out on not a friend, but potentially more, or someone that I don't know saves
Absolutely.
your life.
Right.
You never.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people try to think the worst, and that's when social media first came up. That you got to watch out. You never know who the axe murderer is, or who the kidnapper is, or but you also never know who's going to step up and help you get through a hard time one day.
That's it, bro. Absolutely.
And it just and I think I know you and are one of those people, and so are many of the others that are hanging around us, that are the constants.
Yeah, we got a good group around us, bro.
It does, and I hope it grows. And I'm a man of few. I've me and about 8 or 10 guys have always hung out very close, and we haven't expanded out past that. So YouTube and all that was a bit different for me, but I was but here I am. I'm not an antisocial person. I pick my battles, but I also pick my people, and once I've found that person or people, that's who I come to, pull into my flock and just kind of stay close. But,
right.
And I'm happy that you were part of it. And there is someone in here. I told you who's next. Who better be next? He better say yes, or he's in a lot of trouble. And Rich, don't worry about it. There will be no Canadians ever on this live stream. We're not doing that. We're not playing that. Are y'all even real people?
Right. Rich.
Well, maybe should I make an exception and maybe have Rich up here one day? I mean, just to prove that Canadians aren't real people.
If anybody, I would say yes to
After
Rich.
7 days, he was
We'll do
quite
that. Well, Flo, it's been a pleasure.
God said, let there be a day just for picnics with wine and bread.
Right.
Gathered
Gotta
up
love it.
some people he had made.
With that,
Created blankets and laid back in the shade.
and I'm going to try to make this on Friday.
People sip their wine, and what